right. It is 6 o'clock. Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't think everybody was listening there. Good evening. Okay, welcome to the 5th program in the Winter Lecture Series. We are now officially halfway through. We still have 3 programs left tonight. But thank you all for coming out here today. It's nice to see you all. And we expected a big crowd for this one, actually. So thank you for meeting our expectations. For those of you who are regulars, I bet you are hoping to escape all of my library promos tonight. I will give you a light sentence for good behavior, so I'll try to make it quick. If you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you might have noticed that we have some little inmates of our own this week. We have been incubating chicken eggs, and 10 little chickens hatched this weekend here at the library. They are upstairs. The little chicks are part of our STEAM programming that we do with our Homeschool Learning Club and our Teen After School program. That's through a partnership with the Belmont County, OSU Belmont County Extension Office and 4-H office. So our little chicks will be locked up in their pen through the end of the week before being sent on work release to a farm. So check them out before they get paroled on Sunday. They are very, very cute, and if you do wash your hands, you are allowed to pick them up and then wash your hands again afterwards. Just a reminder of the rest of our program, our programming, I should say. Our Cordio drumming classes take place right here in the activity room on Monday nights at 6 p.m. That's for all ages and abilities. You get to feel like a rock star while working out. Our little bookworm storytime and craft for ages kids 3 through pre-K meets on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Thursdays at 5 a.m. and Friday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Our Bright Minds book clubs for kids grades 1 through 4 meets the last Tuesday of the month at 4 p.m. Our Homeschool Learning Club for kids ages 5 through 10 meets the third Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. And then our after-school teen program this month meets on Monday, March 9th and 23rd at 3 p.m. This month in March, we'll be doing hydroponic agriculture. We've got some tomato plants and kale growing in the children's room right now for that, and then we will find a place to plant them at the end of the month once they have grown. So please check out all of our brochures at the back of the table. We've got information about all those programs. And then, of course, on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. in March and February, we do offer these Winter Lecture Series programs to you all in partnership with the Great Stone Viaduct Historical Education Society. It's a mouthful. It is a mouthful. So I'm going to let Erica Keller, the committee chair for the Winter Lecture Series, tell you more about that.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much. So every week we talk just a little bit about the Great Stone Viaduct Society. And as always, if any of you are new here, we are a partnership in Bel Air, Ohio, and we are a historical society, and we're here for preservation and trying to bring history and enrichment back to Bel Air. And one of our main focuses is if you've been on our walking trail or seen our viaduct, we are continuing to develop that area. We have some exciting stuff coming up. We have if you look in the back, we have a scale model of what our caboose is going to be. We purchased a caboose. It's currently at the Age of Steam Roundhouse being redone, and that is what it's going to look like when we're all finished. And so if any of that sounds amazing to you, I hope so, we would love to have you as a member of the Great Stone Viaduct. If you would be interested in becoming a member, it comes with a lot of fantastic rewards, and one of them is with your membership of $50. There's different levels, but $50 membership. We have a beautiful series of calendars, and these are all photographs donated to the library from Dan Frizzy, and there'll be a series of 5 of these, hot off the presses in the first year. Make a collection. And these are free with your $50 membership, but we have varying levels of membership. Maybe 50 is not for you, but we have different varying levels. We'd love to have you as a member, and one of those perks also of becoming a member is we do take some trips if you'd like to go on some trips. One of our first trips that will be June 20th is the Age of Steam Roundhouse that is currently developing our caboose, and we will take a motor coach to Dover, Ohio to visit the Ernest Werther Museum and Gardens, a lunch on your own before the visit to the Age of Steam Roundhouse, Museum for the Steam to Victory event. This does include, and there's some brochures in the back, and this will tell you a little bit more about it, but you do include your trip, the entrance to the museum, entry fee to the Age of Steam, the Roundhouse tour, and a train ride. And it's very affordable. It's wonderful. I've been there. I did this trip, not at the event, but I did this trip another time. And if you've never been to the Roundhouse, it's hard. It's like stepping back in time to a different age. It's unbelievable. So if anyone is interested in either becoming a member or hearing about our trips, we have a lot of information in the back of the room. And if you enjoy our lectures, we have a great one coming up next week. So next week we have local historian and captain of the Cumberland Trail Fire District, Mr. Curtis Kyer, and he will be presenting Rediscovering Belmont County's Colonel Charlesworth. Colonel James F. Charlesworth was born in St. Clairsville, rose to prominence as a community leader and a decorated veteran of both the Mexican-American War and the Civil War. In addition to serving in multiple county roles and actively participating in several fraternal organizations, Charlesworth played a notable part in local defenses during Morgan's raid when Confederate cavalry swept through the region in 1863. Recently, his long-forgotten Civil War presentation sword and the remarkable story of this man behind it were rediscovered. So, if you don't know, Curtis Kyer, he is very, very passionate about this, and he can't wait. We actually told him, he was like, I usually go about maybe hour, 45 minutes. We're like, a lot to talk about, but maybe just an hour. But he is so excited to talk about it. He told me a little bit about it when we discussed it, and it's going to be a wonderful presentation. So I hope you all can join us next week. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's always wonderful to see new faces and old faces alike. So I can't wait for you guys for our presentation tonight and some spooky stories. So thank you all for coming. And if anyone's interested at the end, we have lots of information in the back table. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Erica. I do have just a few more quick announcements before we get started. For those of you who are new, if you need to use the restrooms, they are through the hallway to the left and down the hallway through the door that has the little silver sign that says restrooms on it. Our programs are live streamed both on Facebook and YouTube, so if you can't make any of the next 3 programs, you can always watch them live online, and then the broadcasts are posted on our website afterwards. So if you've missed any of them, you can always go to our website and get those for playback. And then before I introduce tonight's speaker, I do ask out of courtesy that you all please silence your cell phones now. We will be on an official cell lockdown for tonight's program. That didn't even get a groan. I can't believe that. I thought, none of you knew you were coming here to be locked up in my penitentiary tonight. But yeah, that belonged too. So I will get on with everything tonight. Tonight's program isn't a lecture per se. We're breaking that format and going into a Q&A tonight. So Charles will do a little introduction and then we will get into the questions. So you'll be able to interrogate our guest. He's signed up for that voluntarily, of course. So with that, our speaker this evening is Charles Ghent, a former correctional officer and longtime tour guide of the West Virginia Penitentiary in Moundsville. Charles served during the prison's final years of operation, offering him a first-hand view of daily life inside one of the region's most historic and notorious institutions. During his years at the penitentiary, he witnessed the realities of working among some of the state's most dangerous inmates. He later became a tour guide, sharing stories of the prison's past, its architecture, its escapes, and even the legends surrounding its hauntings, all of which you are welcome to ask him about tonight, and we actually encourage you to ask him about tonight. As I mentioned, this is not a traditional lecture, so I do ask that if you have a question, please raise your hand. We will bring a microphone to you so that the people who are listening online can hear the questions. And then for the people who are watching online, if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments under the video, and we will pass them on to Charles. Everybody, please welcome me. Please join me in welcoming Charles tonight.
Hello. Most people just call me Chuck, okay? It's a lot easier for me. I won't tell you what the inmates call me. Now, I started in '86, the year of the riot. I was supposed to go to work there January 1st, 1986, the day of the riot. Fortunately, it got postponed and I didn't get to get in there until March 12th that year. When I first went in there, we worked 12-hour shifts every day, 7 days a week, for 6 months to re-secure the place. We had chains around every door. We had to go around, take off the chain on every door while we took them out to go eat and stuff, and bring them back and put them back in the cell and put the chains back on and secure them. Get them out every night to get showers and stuff like that. It was long days. What I didn't realize when I went to work there, see, I always watched them on TV, prison life, and it was always, 5, 6, 7 officers, they go in to the cell and they drag out one inmate and they chain him up and walk him out, go to court or whatever. That's not the way it works. They open the door and he steps out, and you're the only one there. Now, like I worked most of the times in the new wall, and then I worked a lot in the kitchen. In the new wall, when I first started there were generally 3 officers in there, sometimes 4 if we're lucky. There's been times with only 2. We had 600 inmates in there to deal with, just us. One of the officers was armed with a shotgun. He sat in the gun cage. And every once in a while, you will see a big arc. These are inmates that were taking the flint out of lighters. They would heat them up till they were cherry red, and they would throw them up there at the gun cage, practicing to burn them out. This is the kind of stuff that you dealt with every day. I've been in several fights. One time they tried to poison me. They put mercury in my coffee. These are the kind of things that you have to keep an eye on. Not all of them hate you. A lot of them don't like you. This is something you gotta learn to deal with. And then you can't believe anything with the ones that like you, because they're trying to find an edge to get what they want. Or in for them. These are kind of little things that went on in life at the prison. One officer out on the yard, 500 inmates out there with him. They would make julep. This is where they take fruit, ferment it, throw the bread in there for the yeast, and they would drink it. We had a group of them that drank Lysol. Yeah, several of them went blind. This is the kind of stuff that you got to deal with. And then you find weapons. I ain't talking about little pocket knives or anything like this. I'm talking 16, 17-inch knives that will do permanent damage to you if it hits you. The worst part of it was, we was never staffed enough. Ever. We worked 12 to 16-hour days. My longest stretch was 21 straight 16-hour days. Medical doctor down there screamed at him and told him I had to have a break. So I got 2 days off. That helped. I was turning gray at the time. It was interesting also. I met guys in there that were actually innocent. Took a long time for them. Some of them did 20 years before they proved their innocence and got out. I got guys in there that did minor stuff that actually should have been in there for murder and stuff like that that hadn't been caught yet for little things like this. So you never knew what you were dealing with. And then the feds would come, and they would drop off one in the middle of the night, no information, just have an inmate with the name made up with a number, and they would leave him there. He might be there a week, sometimes 5 years. Just feds are hiding him, either a mob's after him or something like this here, or protect a witness or something. So you have a lot of strange stuff in here. We had one guy who was there. He was in several different prisons. And this when the rules were changed in law that you were no longer allowed to run as a candidate for presidency because he got a lot of votes. And it scared him. So the inmates were no longer allowed to run for presidency. Yeah. The inmates were allowed to vote back then. So when the inmates heard that it was an inmate running for president, you could see what kind of problems that would stir. There was a lot of votes for him. Now, one of the most dangerous inmates in my time was known as Red Snyder. He lost 4 fingers on his hand because he was talking to someone. He stuck his hand in a paper cutter. You know, one of the big ones. Yeah. He killed his family, his mother, his father, and all of them. And every once in a while, on Mother's Day, he says, I didn't get a card from my mother all year. Why would I send her one now? And he would just laugh. Yeah, type of guy he was. He got himself killed. He was stabbed 28 times by his friend, Rusty Lesser, because they wanted to take over their group, the Aryan Brotherhood. If you know anything about them, they don't like anybody. So, the thing you have to learn, tattoos, different organizations. Every tattoo means something, and you have to learn. Take them to meals. I got sued for $1 million because I made a group of them have to go to the dining hall to eat because they were feared with their lives. They didn't go anywhere, but so is what they do when they think about stuff. One of the things I learned is they don't hesitate. They'll walk right by someone while you're standing there and stab them right there. It means absolutely nothing to them. It was a hard place. But yet, you had fun days. Everything went good. Everybody was in a happy mood. None of them was drunk that day. Wasn't sent out there to fight them on the yard, have to lock them up and drag them over here. They got to go to church. They had to change the rules because all of them was going to church because that was one of the things that you had to do to get parole. So everybody went to church. We had more fights in there than we did in normal housing. We had one place down in the basement that the inmates went in there on rainy days to play cards and stuff like that and talk and play ping pong. They had pool tables down there for them and everything like that. And no officer was ever in there. Ever. No one one died in there, but there was a lot of stuff that went on in there. And I'm not gonna get into too much of that. But this is the kind of stuff that went on there. We had a psych ward where we kept our mental, criminally insane. They weren't in cells. They just got to walk around the area and sleep on a bed right there in front of you. The only problem was there was 30 of them, and we only had one officer in there. We had to carry a lot of officers out there, take them to the hospital with their ears ripped off, their eyes gouged out, nose broken, jaw broken, arms, trunks bitten out of them. But you don't get to hear this because they don't want you writing any reports on that because it will scare the public. Yeah. It's okay, you're scared. Don't scare the public. Because they might have to do something. Yes, ma'am.
How was it when you had full moon?
That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah, they'll all tell you, the psychologists, the doctors, all of them will stand there and swear up and down, that has nothing to do. I'm telling you, they are different when it's on a full moon. It comes out of them. It's unbelievable the way they act when it happens. You got any questions so far? Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk a little quick? Yep, we got the microphone, please. Can you tell us a little bit about the artwork that's in the prison?
Yeah, there's paintings all over the walls in every housing unit, and they're all done by inmates. Some beautiful work, absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of paintings that's not even out because they got no place to put them, which is a shame. So that's all over in the offices for the people that work there and look at all that. Which drives me nuts, because I think it should be out there for everybody to see. They can build something for it. Yes.
Other than red that you mentioned earlier, can you recall when you talked anything about any of the famous inmates or notorious inmates?
Well, one of them was a tank driver for Patton. He was in there for murder. I had one. He was in there for cutting the heads off of 2 college girls back in 87, 88, somewhere in that area. Huh?
Around 68, I was in school up there when that happened.
Okay. We didn't get him to about 86.
Who's that?
I was there from 66 to 70, so it was somewhere in that time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How long, I wonder how long you were there, who the wardens were when you were there, and whether or not the wardens had anything to do with the tenor of the prison, how it was run, and had any effect at all on how the prison was run.
Well, this here was our very first warden. He set up the rules for the officers. That was more important for them than it was when the inmates having the rules. Because these guys will walk around armed all day. They did that in the early years. My time, I had Legursky, Trent. I'm trying to think of the first one I had. One right after Ward Kirchard. Ward Kirchard went to teach at the school. And, huh? Jake Hendricks. Yeah, he was a drunk.
Yeah.
That leads into my question, does the ward have anything to do with how it's run or the tenor around?
Yeah, he has a lot to do with it.
In what respect?
he lays down the rules. If he sees something that doesn't go right, he can change the rules and stuff like that. And then he just writes a report and sends it on down to Charleston, and they don't say nothing because he's there. Yes, sir.
You mentioned mercury in your coffee.
Yes, sir.
Where would the mercury come from?
There's a little nice story for it. We were what they call navy blue, which is almost a black, okay? And it's cotton, and it's hot. We wanted to work in t-shirts because it was that hot in there. And they kept trying to say it wasn't that hot. So we finally made up enough whining. They decided they put up thermometers everywhere just to get a reading of the temperature. Well, the top tiers, on average, in the summertime, range between 125 and 130 every day. Wintertime, you got down to about 60. So, a couple of weeks in, all the thermometers disappeared. I wouldn't understand why. But this is what we deal with. Yes, sir.
I was in high school in the 60s, 1960s. The Beta High Y took a trip to the Moundsville prison to go through the prison. When I was in high school in the 1960s, the Beta High Y organization went to Moundsville and toured the prison. And I don't recall who it was that took us around, but it was probably one of the senior people, designated by the warden to lead the tours. And I remember going up, they put us in front of a cell, and we looked inside of the cell, and it obviously wasn't the best of cells, and I think they probably wanted to make an impression on young kids. And there was a fellow there with a mop, and he was mopping the floor, and after we all looked in the cell, he said, yeah, and the food is good too. He told us. When did they stop doing the tours of students?
We still do it.
The tours were still done while prisoners were there.
Not up until the day they're gone, but we still do kids.
Well, I understand, but I'm talking there were prisoners there.
Well, the court stopped it. We had the Scared Straight program. Okay, and it worked. Believe me, it worked. It scared a lot of us straight. But the bad thing was, is the inmate would come out and say, this one, and this one. They said, you'll see him in a couple of years.
Okay,
So there was no help in them.
so my question is, when did the prison actually close?
1994,
Okay,
95.
95.
I got out of there in 94 over to the regional.
And did they continue the tours clear up until it closed?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and basketball games, baseball games, things like that, yeah. Yes,
Yes, it was a great challenge, I'm sure, for you to survive that job. And do you think you're overpaid or underpaid, or likely underpaid?
I'll put it this way, I retired in 2013,
You're lucky.
yes. The year before that, in 2012, was the most I've ever made down there, and I made $36,000. That's working 12, 16 hours a day, 6 and 7 days a week. Because once you're there so long, you can't afford to leave because they do have a good retirement. They had good medical and stuff like that. The wages are a lot better now. They finally started paying them some. Some of them are getting up to $70,000 a year now. When I started there, I made 8.
Is that the only work you did?
The only work I did? No, I started out in the steel mills. They started closing.
What kind of work did you do in steel mill?
Huh?
What kind of work did you do in steel mill?
I worked at the corrugating plant up there on 20th Street in Wheeling. And then I was supposed to go over to Warwood, to their plant up there, but they closed a lot of that down, and so I got cut out. I was going to get to go to Beach Bottom, but my father worked there as a foreman, so I wasn't allowed to go there. I ended up going to work at Bonnox until it closed, making the Army tanks.
I happened to work at Greenfield, Menneson Coast Works, at the baggage one. And they said, we got this bad here in my house alley. They wrote the book on labor relations with Menneson.
Yeah.
I was talking about
Yes.
What kind of a learning curve was there for new correctional officers?
I got 8 hours training, then I went to work. Yeah, they didn't have the people to do it. They didn't have the time. They couldn't afford to put someone with you to learn. You had to learn on your own. It took a minimum of 5 years just to get the basic idea of what inmates could get away with. 5 years. A lot of officers only made it 6 months to a year.
In Glendale, the rumors was that the prisoners always built that stone wall.
They built all of them, yes,
They built it all.
yes. All through the Narrows, the museum, the old museum that was over at the mound. They're the ones that dug it out, and we put the bodies on display and stuff like that back in the 60s. And then they had that cave in.
This lady has a question. I just wonder, at the maximum, how many prisoners were actually in prison then?
At one time, there was 2,800. Yeah, it was only designed to hold 400. Yeah, we averaged 3 guys per cell. Every cell in there had 3 guys, and then we had beds out on the floors, lined up down the hallways and stuff, with inmates and that.
And then what level of prisoners were there? I'm sure
Max.
at the top, there was murderers and everything.
Everything.
But at the bottom, I mean.
No, the lowest that we had in there was rapists, car thieves, drug dealers,
And then up from there.
up from there. Now, in the early years, we had everything in there. Children, women, yes. Our youngest in there was 14. I got pictures of them right here. 2 of them, brothers, twins. One took blame for the killing, even though his other brother was there with him and helped him, but they didn't want to really have. But we had a lot of 14, 15, 16-year-olds in there.
How did they fare?
Not good. Not good. Yes,
Now, you mentioned you gave tours,
yes, sir.
and I was wondering about some of the questions people asked, what the most asked question was, and if you remember any specific silly, stupid questions that
Well, the most question asked during the tour, is the place really haunted? I can tell you this. I've been in there by myself, walking up. Nobody else there. I'll have cell doors slam on me. I'll have whistling. I'll hear a scream. I'd like to say it's my imagination. Yeah,
I was there with you. I experienced it. It wasn't a dream and it wasn't made up. I actually ran to you on the, I saw the mist go up in front of me, and then a door slammed, and I ran like a little kid. And I'm in my 30s, and I was looking for my grandfather.
Yes, sir.
When the riots started, that was in the early 80s.
86. There was one in 79 too.
Yeah, the one in 79 was at the prison break for Williams and them.
Yeah.
But the riots in 86, what instigated that? Was there a particular faction in there or a?
Well, there
Something did
was
something.
3 guys killed. They were known as snitches. It was pretty much done by the Aryan Brotherhood. They're the ones who got it going. They managed to get a lot of the officers in the units. Guys panicked. They didn't know how to talk on the radio. They just started screaming for help. They had a code when a riot's kicking off. None of them used it. None. That's why so many officers were taken hostage. A lot of officers were abused that day. Some of them never came back to work. Their mind just couldn't handle it anymore. A lot of them come back because they had a lot of hatred in them. We had to keep track of them because they wanted revenge. Can't blame them. We can't let them do it. Things like this. The hauntings, it's weird. During the day, I give tours. And I'll get all these kids. I'll get up to like 70 kids. We're only supposed to go up to 50 in a group, but sometimes I'll get up to 70 because I'm experienced and I can deal with that many kids. And I'll be walking down the hallway past the old kitchen, going towards the new kitchen. And in the hallway, I would stop there and talk, showing them where this one room was, where the inmates would come. And they would get new clothing and stuff like that, or put their stuff in storage and things like that when they couldn't have a lot of stuff. And they did, first thing out of the kids' mouth naturally is this really haunted? And I would like, this is God's truth, no lie to this. I would look up to the windows there. I said, these windows will rattle. Okay? They said, yeah. And I would say, all right, is there any ghost here? And all at once the window would rattle. Ghost. So they got a little upset and they said, oh, that's just the wind blowing. I said, yes, it's just the wind blowing. I said, you hear that, guys? It's the wind blowing. And the wind blew, rattled so hard, the kids took off running down the hallway. I had to go find them all. Little things like it. It probably was the wind. I'm not saying anything. But it's weird that it happens when I talk to it. Okay? That's why I said, okay, maybe. When you see a door go close, you grab hold of somebody's door, and it takes everything you've got to close the door. And then you want you to see it shut. Yeah. You hear singing. You hear a woman scream. Yeah, just weird stuff. And then you go in there and it's perfectly quiet. And you have absolutely nothing. That made me more nervous. I was afraid something's really going to happen then. Yes, sir.
Jack, I know you were a veteran. What branch of service do you have?
Army.
Army.
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
I was a mechanic.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. The question of, the next question is, what got you to go to prison?
It was the only thing left in the valley that was hiring. It was the only thing left in the valley that was hiring at the time. Matter of fact, the guy that helped get me on there was Arch Moore's brother. He was a lawyer in Moundsville. He told me to tell him I was a Democrat. He said, I don't care what you are, but if you go walk in there, you're a Democrat. It's one of the questions they asked me. They said, do you vote? I said, yeah. I don't. Never met one that I really like to vote for. They're all liars. But they said, what are you, a Democrat or a Republican? And I said, I'm a Democrat. And they said, start tomorrow morning. No, it's true. Yes, sir.
Given your background and experience, I'm just curious, have you formed any opinion on Jeffrey Epstein's death?
I find it quite interesting. There's a lot of big people that used to go to his place. Getting killed, that doesn't surprise me. We've had guys brought into West Virginia and died that same day when they got there because the inmates already knew who he was. You know, someone that people wanted killed. That happened all the time here in West Virginia. People don't understand just how violent these guys are. The courts looked at them and said, they're just misunderstood people. Yeah.
What year did you start?
I started in '86.
In '86, okay, now, in the 1970s, Bel Air used to have a group of former football players that would come over to the prison
Yes.
and play the prisoners.
Yes.
Did that continue in
Yes.
the 80s?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about how those games were arranged and how the
They were
football players from Bel Air were protected?
Yeah. They were as protected as we were. He wasn't. It wasn't just a physical game. There was a lot of physical stuff that went on during the game. I mean, they had fun, the inmates, because they loved the dish out punishment. Oh, they loved it so much. And then they end up getting locked up for it and stuff like that and think it's funny. But baseball games, we even had the Pirates come in and play against the inmates. Yeah.
Did the inmates win?
Actually, yes, they did. They were good. They really were good.
When I was growing up, there was 26th Street Playground in Center Wing. They used to bring the prisoners. When I was growing up, in the late 50s, early 60s, he lived there. We would watch them bring the prisoners up on a bus, and they would play the Cave Club. The prisoners were the
They're at Polanski's Field?
no, 26th Street Playground, which is
26th Street, okay.
Yeah, and, you know, at that age, I was 15, 16 years old, I played for the Cave Club, and a couple times we actually went down to the prison, and, you know, I didn't see what you saw, because they had hot dogs on the grill, and some of the nicer guys, but I just remember this one gentleman, he played for the prison, he was probably about 6'3", he was a consummate athlete. I saw a lot of Major League Baseball games, this guy was a pitcher, and I never saw one better. And I was told by a guy who had been an ex-pirate farmhand, he said that guy was really looked at to make it the big leagues. Charleston, West Virginia, he got involved with two other guys in a murder case. Spent the rest of his life in prison instead of on the mound in the major leagues.
Yeah. Well, here's something for you. The JCs, these are all our rapists and stuff, okay? Couple murderers thrown in. The JCs used to go to parties. Parties, dances. One officer, 20, 25 inmates. You wasn't allowed to go showing your arm. You had to have a hideaway so it didn't bother people. Now, you have a big area that has rooms, and where you can spend the night. Yeah. And you try to keep track of 25 inmates. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do you have any stories to tell us about Old Sparky?
No, that was before my time, actually. 9 people were executed in the chair. The rest of them were hung. Our youngest one that was hung there was 18. I got a picture of him right here.
Was they hung?
Now,
Was they hung as execution?
yeah. No. The ones we hung was for execution. There was a lot of them hung that the inmates hung. Okay? Yes, sir.
Did you find any tunnels where someone tried digging their way out?
Well, I got to go into one that they used in 87, where they dug out and went out the back wall. They had running lights all the way through it.
I was told that there was like a greenhouse.
There was a greenhouse.
And they could sell the plants to the city folks. And they kept wondering where all the soil coming from for these potted plants that they were giving away. And it was like,
You would get a bag of potting soil to go with your flowers. Yes.
like, where are they getting all this potting soil?
Now, here's the thing. Mr. Wadersky, he helped me with a couple of things, but he was quite naive. And I don't mean to be mean with him or anything like that. He was an ex-state trooper. He used to train state troopers. And he thought it qualified him to be a warden. They made him warden. He went in there, all gung-ho, want to do this, you weren't allowed to talk bad to the inmates. You weren't allowed to cuss the inmates. It's a different story. He said the greenhouse was built for the old timers, all right? The ones that were very old and couldn't work real jobs anymore. So we had that built for them so they could take flyers and go out and stand on the street and sell them to make a couple of dollars so they could buy their wham-whams and zuzus, their potato chips, or coffee, cigarettes, stuff like that. You know, back then, pack of cigarettes like 19 cents, 21 cents, or you didn't have to pay the state or federal taxes. Yeah. So, Warden talked to these 3 guys, Fast Freddy, I can't think of their names right now. Williams, not Ronnie Williams, another Williams. Fast Freddy was a cop killer. Williams was another murderer. But the main character, I can't think of his name. That drives me nuts. Found him in a cave. Yes, sir.
With all their time, what kind of gizmos or gadgets did they play with, do with, make?
Run that by me again?
With all the time they had, their free time, what did they wait a while.
No, they just went out on the yards lifting weights and ran, played baseball, basketball, stuff like that. Always working out, always getting bigger.
Did they do any craft work?
Some of them, yes. Some of them made some beautiful stuff, absolutely gorgeous stuff.
Did you ever hear of Wimpy Gittles or Yahoo Sticks?
No,
I thought maybe it would be something they may have enjoyed making.
they made furniture. Yeah, they did a lot of paintings for people. I seen the front, if you go down by the prison now, there's a big fence that goes all the way down there. That fence didn't go up until 1980, after the 79 escape, when that state trooper was killed out front. There was never a fence there. What's even more amazing, they used to have all kinds of trees there. So if you could get up on a roof, you could jump from a roof into the trees and climb down the trees and run off. Yes. You cut the trees down after they put the fence up. I don't know. It's amazing stuff.
With the open exercise yard and the areas inside the prison, I've been there a bunch after, well, it's a community center. Can you imagine with the drone technology and everyone's got a
No drones.
flying camera?
No drones. No, we're permitted to shoot them out of the skies.
I was wondering if you had to
Yes.
shoot.
We were permitted to shoot them out of the sky. If a plane flew over and he was too low, we was allowed to shoot the plane. Yes. Now, here's one little thing that most people never knew. If we were ever invaded, we had orders to execute every inmate in there. That was one of the standing things. Now, a reason for it is, it happened over in Germany and stuff. The Germans would release all the crazies that tie up all the military and try and round them up because they were going around killing innocent citizens. That's why they had that standing order for the prisons. Of course, that was for maximum security prisons that I know of.
How about torture?
Tortures, yeah, they used to do that. There were several killed that they used to take a 1-inch water hose, take it 6 inches from a guy's face, turn it on and walk away until he drowned or broke his jaw and stuff like that. Or they took cat of nine tails that they used to make down there and tie them to a board and beat them until they pass out. The body can stay awake for a long time with a lot of pain, and you end up dying from bleeding and stuff like that. Yes, we did all kinds of stuff. We had bodies buried there under the wall. I read all this down there. We used to talk about it. When they started to build the south wall portion of it, they had to dig up the bodies and move them to a cemetery because they were outside up from underneath the walls. Now, we've had over 500 escapes. Yeah, they don't talk about that. 500 escapes. Did we get them all back? Got a lot of them, not all of them. Now, did all of them actually get out and get away? I can't tell you. Because if you never see them again, you don't know they're buried under the wall, if you know what I mean. Just the way life is. Yes, sir.
There's always challenges. With all the challenges of dealing with those prisoners, not sure how to say it, you regret going to work. I know pay, good, good, I mean, good, maybe livelihood for you, but do you regret it at all?
Yeah, every day. So the guy shouldn't have to live this way. Tell you now. Now, if you have a lot more people and make it safe, then you're talking a different ballgame. But when you're dealing with 200 to 300 inmates with only one or two officers, you're looking to get killed. We had a warden that had his son killed in an escape. When they brought that inmate back, they found him hung, and the warden resigned the next day. If you know what I'm saying.
Who did that?
I said the inmate was captured and killed the warden's son. That inmate hung himself, and the warden retired the next day.
How old was the son?
Probably around 22, 23.
Was he a guard?
Yes,
Is it very hard for you to go work every day?
yes, I was scared every day.
I don't understand.
But you have to go. You go to work. Yes, sir.
Do you know if they still had trustees or when that program was stopped?
No, they had trustees all the way up to the end.
Really?
Oh, yeah, get to go over and work at the mound, used to go over to the swimming pool, work with the kids.
You know what? I lived down there, but we played those fields before the fences went up, 1,200 of them. They were still there. They'd have them out there chasing foul balls and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Tower officers used to have buckets on ropes. The inmates would send a box of candy bars up to the tower officers. When the ball would go over the wall, the kids would go get it. He would count how many kids were down there, and he would send down that many candy bars to bring back balls.
Let me tell you, I can vouch for the fact that not all those balls went back.
You didn't get candy bars either.
Yes, ma'am.
There was a trustee, Mackenzie
Mackenzie.
there was a trustee, Mackenzie was the warden.
Yeah.
He was running loose, and he went over to St. Clairsville or somewhere and killed Bridgeport and killed a girl. And then there's speculation that he killed a nun up at Mount St. Joseph at the convent. Does anyone ever, whatever happened to him? I don't remember his name, I just remember this story.
Well, it happened a lot. That's the problem. And I have to have the name, do research on it. They probably transferred him over to Ohio because Ohio still had the death penalty at that time. So they was hoping they'd probably do away with him.
He killed a girl down in West Virginia, is how he got here.
Yeah. But,
He was a trustee.
yeah. I've had wardens take their houseboys, inmates, murderers. You're not allowed to take them across state line. That's against the law. And they used to load them up in the car, take them to the mall, go shopping. Gosh, good. Yes, sir.
I remember when there was a tour and they showed with some of these cells, and there's 2 beds in there. It looked like it was overcrowded already, and then you couldn't have a third one.
He slept on the floor. Yeah. Now, he learned not to put his head up there underneath the toilet. But he had to curl up in a way so his head wouldn't be at the bars because someone would reach in and stab him in the head. So, he had a hard time.
Did inmates have any kind of educational opportunities? I mean, like,
They-
they took math or?
They can get a college degree in there. Yeah. A lot of them get their high school diplomas. We tried to make it like a mandatory thing if they wanted to get parole. to get some schooling. Yes, sir.
My late father taught courses there at the prison. He told me that the inmates could take classes for free.
Yes.
However, the guards had to pay for the same classes.
Yes. The guards had to pay for their meals. They weren't allowed to eat free with the inmates. That's just a little thing. I ate free because I worked in the kitchen, so that's get away with it.
On comment, we're hearing some great stories, but I think, do we realize that when that prison opened, it was Moundsville, Virginia,
No, it wasn't.
not West Virginia.
It
Yes.
was 1866 it was built, right?
Yes, 1866.
But there was a holding camp there, I think.
There was a holding camp there.
49.
Yeah. And they slept out in the dirt year round while they built that prison. The inmates built it, along with a few masons. The Eastern Star had a window made for the warden to put up in his house. I got a picture of it there. It's kind of busted up now. I'm hoping to get it restored one day. I fight with them to get stuff done. I'd like to restore the warden's house, the main part of the building there on the prison, not the one out there in the back. But when the warden lived inside the prison, he had inmates watch kids. They babysit the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Of all the men in prison, do you assume any of them were innocent?
There was a few. I know for a fact there were a few because some of them got out. But they were there 20, 25, 30 years. They got up to about $1 million for being in there. I was supposed to pay you back for 30 years of your life. But
After all the years of working in a prison, you have to be a different person while you're at work. How did you come home and be such a good man?
I wasn't at first. I had a mean streak. It's something I worked on every day and try to control. I caught myself treating my wife as an inmate because I'd have so much rage. Then I got over it. I had a good woman who took care of me. Still got her.
As far as staffing goes, did they want to hire more people, or was it
This,
a financial thing?
I think 2 years ago, they doubled the people in there. When I worked there, at the most we ever had was 75 people as officers. Now, you gotta figure that's for 3 shifts. So you break it down, that's 25 per shift. Now, you've got honor hall, PC, new walls. You have the yard. You have 4 towers. You have the medical department, the psych ward. You have industries. You have canteen. All these takes officers. How many places can you have more than one? Like 2 or 3 of them. PC and new walls, and then you had to have at least 4 North Hall lock-up units. That's where the most dangerous were. Now, Red used to talk to me all the time, and he would get new inmates in. Yeah,
Have inmates ever missing?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Have inmates ever went missing?
Come here. Come here. Come here. I'm a little hard of hearing, so your voice is just at that pitch that I have trouble with. Went missing? Oh, yeah, yeah. That's when you escape, that's when you would hear the sirens. Everybody knows the siren. They screamed a lot.
Yes, I talked to you before. Is the wheel gate still in the building?
Yes,
Is it really?
yes. We used it until the day it closed. It was one of the places I actually got to work a little bit. It was nice because you were the only one there. It was nice and quiet. The only ones you got to really go to there was the officers.
You may, you got.
You know, that's the way you would come in one time to go to play games, football, basketball, stuff like that, through the wheel.
When I was working, you went back to the.
Yes. Yes, sir.
In the 80s, it was very tough around here. My brother went down to Houston, Texas to find work. We got very little work around here.
Yes.
For employment.
Right. Yeah. The only reason I stayed here is Mama didn't want to move.
What is it?
My wife didn't want to move. You know how the boss is. Only one way.
Who ruled the roost?
Yes. She said she wasn't moving. I went to work at the prison.
Before we thank you, I would like your wife to stand up. I think she should have an applause. And also the rest of the family. There's a lot
I'm gonna say the last 4 digits. 4, 2, 1, 9.
Blue tickets? Wait a minute.
Blue tickets.
The last 4 digits. The last 4 digits are 0, 1, 2, 9.
0, 1, 2, 9?
Yeah.
I won again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. That was a real fun program. We appreciate it.
Now, if anybody wants to walk up here and check out some of the little stories